right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of BEVS and Biz here at Moto Studios. So excited to have Emily Bell McCormick with us, founder and president of the Policy Project. Thank you so much for joining.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's going to be a ton of fun. This is going to be shifting a little gears compared to, I feel like, our typical episode, which I'm pumped about. For those that don't know, and Emily will do a much better job than me introducing the Policy Project. They are a nonprofit and do a ton of amazing work here with local legislation in Utah. Hopefully I'm not butchering anything there.
That was
but
perfect.
Is that fair? Okay.
It was perfect.
So typically I feel like I've been speaking with other local creatives or, for-profit business leaders or owners. So really excited to focus on kind of more of the nonprofit, and then would definitely love to make sure that the Policy Project has a plug in this and people know how they can make an impact or make a difference at the end of the show. So
Yes.
we'll get rolling. As always, what we're not varying on is we've got our beverage today, Vita Coco.
All right, Vita Coco.
Yeah, coconut water, I
All right.
guess. I haven't had this.
Have you had it? No. Okay, we're mixed in our family because some of my kids are like obsessed with coconut water, and I think I'm obsessed with salt. I love salt. I think it tastes salty.
Is it
so
too
I
salty?
can't decide but I haven't tried this one. Shall we?
Cheers.
All right.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
It is way interesting.
Maybe interesting is that we're both like, ugh,
I know, I'm like,
that is not my
That's the
favorite.
word. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm with you on that. Maybe not my favorite either. It's
I
like
was expecting salty, but that's like salty and
kind of sweet, but it tastes like a drop rotten. Okay, I feel really bad. I hope this
Sorry,
isn't a
Vita
local company. Sorry, but I'm
Our-
sure some people love it.
our review
Yes.
today. Oof.
We're gonna say
Let me just give some parameters here so that
Okay, fair.
if they are local, we're not feeling it even worse.
yes, yeah.
It does seem like it's pretty healthy for you. We've got lower in sugar, technically, 100% juice, low calories.
Yeah.
Only 90 calories
Yeah,
for it. And
for
it's a
the
pretty,
big old bottle.
hefty bottle.
Okay, and it's a certified B Corp. That's big because that means they're that they're
Yeah,
like being
they're doing good work.
responsible and they're doing so. Actually, okay,
So we
knowing
can- we
that
can bump our
tastes
rating
a
up.
little better. But that's probably not why you drink this anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not.
I'm looking for like an electrolyte type drink. If
Yeah,
I'm drinking
then
this.
it's okay. If you're like going for a full sugar Coke or something, it's probably not
This
going
is
to hit
not
the
the one.
spot.
This is not the one. So we have to give a rating. That's part of our
Okay,
show.
out of
We can bump it
five?
up out of 1 to 10.
10.
1 to 10. I'll start with the meanness maybe. On this taste scale, I'm giving like a 4
oh,
or
good,
5. Sorry.
good. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna say I gotta land around. I don't know if I could drink the whole bottle, so I'm gonna say maybe a 3 to 4.
Yeah,
4.
that's
4.
fair.
We'll say 4. But when I know everything about
But
the
bonus
brand,
points. It's
they
healthy.
get some bonuses.
Yeah,
We'll
they
give
get
them a
some
6.
bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, Vita Coco.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hey, but that's all the point. I love that we've tried it. Now, if I'm stopping at Maverick, that's not my go-to. That's okay. That's okay.
That's right.
Well, we'll dive into the bulk of the episode here. I think if people have watched or listened before, they know what we chat about. Again, I think today will be just a little different, where I'd love to just learn about your background. I'd love for people to know what the Policy Project is, what it is you guys do, and then hopefully we've got some inspired and passionate listeners who are able to contribute and make a difference as well. To give background on our working relationship, I know it was Sierra, our set designer, originally made the connection because we did we'll call it a charity pickleball event where all of the proceeds from our amazing sponsors went to the Policy Project. And we had that was honestly,
It was the funnest event.
it was one of my all-time favorites.
Oh.
I'm not just saying that.
It was like a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
So many people were there for it.
Yeah.
Food was good. It was super fun.
It was.
DJ. Yeah.
DJ Will, Floor on our team, he's the man. It was, and good turnout. I feel like good representation from a lot of great brands and local people. And yeah, just so cool and so fun. And we did have a lot of food. So next time we hope even more people can come because it was so great. And I will definitely be repeating that one. But that's how we started. And then since then, we feel lucky because we've been able to do some video work. And maybe by the time this podcast has released, I'm not sure, maybe we'll be beating the timeline. But those videos should be released pretty soon, rolled out to the public. So I'm really excited about that for people to be able to watch those.
And I will just say on the flip end of that, as like the recipient of this incredible event and having you guys raise money, you get to know the Moto team and you are just the best. So we did not want it to end. So then we did end up hiring you guys, saying like, oh my word, you do such cool work. Yeah. Even the branding at this pickleball event was so good. It was like, we've got to work with them again. Yeah. So you guys are awesome.
You're so sweet. I swear there was no intention of being like, hey, we're doing this event and now
like, best sales pitch ever.
But Sierra, I think she put in such great effort and it was so fun, that event, every little detail around it was awesome. Yeah. So that's so great. Well, tell me about, I want to hear your background.
Yeah.
Obviously, nonprofit is not I call it stereotypical route in the professional world. I know you've got some obviously private background from your previous work experience. So tell me maybe what led up to and how you led up to the Policy Project, founding that and leading it now.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So you're right. I did not start in nonprofit work. I went to, even my like academics and studies in school were really around communication. And so I started with that, but I had a big interest in business. I've always liked business. You know, when I was a little girl, I think I used to picture myself being like the CEO of a big company in New York, you know, and those are not the typical little girl dreams, I think, for South Salt Lake in the 1980s, but it was just what I wanted to do. And so when I finished school, I went into business. I worked a lot in like marketing and PR, started on some public affairs, and then ended up going in and founding a fashion company, this business called Shabby Apple. We did dresses, and it was unique because at the time it was like 2003, 2004. And I remember the very first thing I said, or that friends would ask me was, well, where's your store going to be? And I was like, we're doing everything online. And people were like, oh, wow. Well, you can't do that. How do people know what size they are? It was like this big hang up for people.
I remember asking those questions in our family, like ordering online? No way.
Yeah,
especially
you would
clothes.
Never order clothes online because you don't know if they'll fit. Now that seems like the funniest thing ever because that's all you do, right? It's like, I'm going to pop on Amazon. I'm going to drop on Little. I'm going to, you order stuff. But back then it was like a big deal because there really just were not like a ton of clothing companies. We were not used
not at all.
We go to the mall and try it on, and then you'd order it online if they didn't have your size or something, you know. So did that for about 5 years, sold that.
Amazing.
And then I started on consulting. I did a lot of like consulting around communication. So I did that for years after. And I think one thing that was kind of a constant in my life is I always have had like a deep curiosity about lives that are not mine. And so I really was interested in like, I started noticing, man, this is so crazy. I could like grow up in this neighborhood, be in this space and have the experience I'm having, but started to see people who were having an extremely different experience, like living in America, going to the same kinds of public schools that I went to, doing these, having a life that I think should have had an outcome that was similar to mine, but for some reason our outcomes were so different. I was going to college and grad school, getting married, doing these things. And some of the lives I saw around me were not doing those, were not having the same successes, just meaning that they were not being employed, for the same amount of money that I was being employed for, those kinds of things. And so looking at those lives and looking at kind of the struggle that was there, I started asking these questions. I think, one of them was really around when we do good, when charities start. I'd never been involved in a charity before other than just volunteering and like taking a dinner, helping out with something like that.
Sure.
But I started looking at like, man, with these charities, how are we solving these issues? Like when we're taking a dinner to someone, maybe at a homeless shelter or something, is that actually ending homelessness? And I think the answer is like, no, it's not, right? Or like when we look at, man, this one group of people, gosh, they're like spending a lot of their lives in prison, and then their children don't have dads or moms, and that's causing all these problems. Looking at that and saying like, what are we doing to like, instead of building bigger prisons, what are we doing to maybe lower the crime rate and like help people have opportunities so that they're not pursuing crime, And so that became like a big kind of question in my mind. And it took me a while to trip upon this, but just from reading some different books and looking at systems of government in other countries, I realized that policy was like this very cool way to change the world for the better. And it was cool because not only could you stop a problem from happening, right? Like you could actually, in theory, if we did things just right, we could end the homelessness. We could make it so no one goes to prison, because the way, like the environment that we live in is the water that we swim in and the air that we breathe. And so we don't always notice, but those things really impact the outcomes of our lives. And so I started seeing like, okay, if we could adjust policies and use policy as a tool for good, which many politicians have over the years, right? Yeah. But nobody was doing it from a nonprofit, or not many were doing it from a nonprofit perspective. Like we exist exclusively to adjust the system, to change the system so that more people enjoy the opportunities and benefits in America. That's like what we do, and in Utah specifically.
And so it's instead of a Band-Aid, a temporary solution. You are literally adjusting, whether it be laws or I don't even know another word. Yeah, laws that are determining outcomes and possibilities for people here, specifically locally in Utah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because when you change the law and you change the rule, then you can kind of help more people become winners, right? Like if you are controlling a board game, let's say, like we often think about policy or laws, like changing laws as a board game. Like you and I decide to play a board game. We better agree on the same rules, right?
We could have very different outcomes.
We'd have like crazy outcomes if we thought that we were playing this game. And we could shift to a few different rules and you'd have an advantage, right? Like if the rules were more around like, hey, if somebody's a creative and knows how to develop cool films and music, like, that kind of stuff, like Hunter's going to win every time. If we adjust it to like, hey, we need governance, then maybe I'm going to win that game. So just in the same way that like you need rules for a board game, we need rules for society that kind of keep us like things peaceful and everybody knows which direction to go and all those things. Yeah. And so if we adjust the rules a little bit, we make a big difference. And I'd love to offer a quick example of that. Maybe
Please.
That would be helpful.
That'd be amazing.
So we worked early on we called it the Period Project, and that was putting period products like tampons and pads into every single school in the state of Utah.
So cool.
So cool. Offering them for free. So it's like, well, we had some people say like, was that really needed? Was that really necessary? Well, if you started looking at the data, you look at like girls going to school. Listen, if you are born, 50% of the population is born in the manner that they will eventually have a period, right? Like they're going to eventually need a tampon or a pad, something to like manage a period. So what we found was we'd never really talked about that as being part of our rule book, being a law that we needed. But once we started looking at the numbers, it was like 25% of teens in the state of Utah can't afford period products at all. But they don't get to choose to not have a period. They still have a period for like 4 to 7 days a month. And you can't control when a period happens. So we started realizing like a lot of people had this totally different mindset about periods. They kind of thought like, well, just control it. Like, we're in the middle of an interview. If I need to go number 1 or number 2, I'm just going to hold it till we're done. But with a period, it was much more like a bloody nose. Yeah. And a lot of lawmakers did not realize that, which sounds kind of crazy, but they didn't know.
I believe it.
And so it's like, hey, if they don't know, none of us can be held accountable for something we don't know. And so I was like, okay, we've got this big problem, which is a lot of our girls can't afford period products. Also, 80% of girls had missed class because they didn't have access to a period product. So some couldn't afford them, but others were just like, well, I didn't know it was going to start today.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And it removes you from class. That's
right.
crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so it's like, we do all these things to make sure our students can stay in school, but we were missing this one really big issue. And it was like, oh, this is so easy. There is the easiest solution, and it's just put tampons and pads into every school bathroom and have them be free, so that when a girl is like, oh crap, I'm sitting in the middle of science, I just started my period, I need a product, she's not calling home anymore. Yeah. She's not freaking out, like trying to ask her neighbors, you know, her classmates, like, do you have a tampon or a pad? You know, she's going to the bathroom, using the bathroom, and coming right back to class. So it's massively changed. We just changed the system. We just said, like, where is there a problem? Okay, here's a problem. And then is there a solution? So always trying to look for, like, how do we fix it? Like, everybody can talk about problems. We all see them, but starting to move from talking about problems into, like, what is the solution and how do we change it? And that's where we, like, really love to use, like, law or policy to lean in and make a change to the system. And then it can change lives. I mean, that one change in the law changed the very first year, 350,000 girls got access to period products.
Incredible.
Overnight. Yeah,
That's honestly
so cool.
such a cool movement, such a cool law action that your team took. And I think what people will miss is, like, the back end. They know of the problem or the issue, but not the impact that it's having on all of these girls, and then the consequences, just like you're talking about earlier, like, oh, my life circumstances and all the opportunities that I had, why are others not receiving the same outcome? Well, maybe they couldn't afford access to period products. They missed class. They missed information. They didn't succeed as much as they could have if they had the opportunity, the equal opportunity that their classmates had.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed that. That's the exact idea, is that, like, we sometimes think, like, it's a big things. Well, this person went out and stole a car. It's like, that person might not have had a period product, might not have had two parents in the house, might not have had, like, all these other things that all rooted back to the tiny things, like a tampon in a bathroom.
Yeah.
She needed that, you know, and we look at low income countries where access to period products are almost non-existent. Like, they're using leaves or, like, other things. And it makes it so hard. Like, the dropout rate of girls in school, it's astronomical. Like, hardly anybody graduates. Hardly any girls graduate. Yeah. And so it's like, those little things actually make a big difference. And I love, like, you painted the exact visual. It's like this small thing and then the next small thing.
There's a root. There's a root to what's happening. Yeah. And I think society has improved, at least I think my personal life, the last 5-10 years with different movements and everything that's happened in our society, it's been really good to see, like, the root causes, because sometimes I think we have this inner bias, oh, XYZ happened to this individual because of the choices that they made and it's their fault. But if you take a step back and we see, like, these societal ramifications to these situations that people have been put in, maybe because of just where they were born or the gender that they are or were born, there's just consequences to everything that happens to us, and having policy in place to help create an equal playing field for all I think that's so huge. I mean, I know that's huge because that's what you're doing, but
yes, but I love, like, and you're describing it in the perfect way, because I think that's exactly what we're looking for, is just equaling out the playing field. And one thing I want to point out that I think people are very misled about with policy is that there always have to be winners and losers. And so I think sometimes if you're on the winning team, I'm not talking about political party, or I'm talking about, like, if I'm, like, I'm winning in a million ways in my life right now, right? Came from a 2-parent home, got a college education, like, all these things. If you're on the winning team, you're afraid that if you let more people into the winning team, you're going to lose. Yeah. Not true. The cool thing about, like, changing the system and policy is there's a way that, like, we can welcome people into having more opportunity, and you're not losing. Because I think we so often, we're so competitive, but, we love sports and we love,
totally. You want to be the best at what you're doing.
We're reviewing dreams, right? Like
everything's
we love it.
a competition.
Everything's a competition. But I do think it's like, in this world, it's very short-sighted to think that if we help someone who's always been an underdog, that all of a sudden you're going to become the underdog. Not true. Like we can all win. We can all win, and so it's like welcoming people into that, like kind of some of those like extra opportunities.
You're giving them an opportunity just like you had. I love that. I think one thing that impacted me early on in my professional career is I had some bosses. I think their mentality was so healthy with growth. I think this ties back to exactly what we're saying. I think a lot of the times people would make hires, and still this definitely very much happens in the workplace, where somebody might make a hire into a role, or they're hiring a subordinate, somebody that's going to be working for them, and they fill it based on someone who they feel they are better than or that could work for them. But instead, they had the mentality of, I want to hire somebody, maybe it's a level that's below me technically, but I want to hire somebody that's better than me or that can be better than me, because they're not afraid of growth and something being better than them. I think the same goes for what you're saying, opportunity. Yeah. We're scared to give other people opportunity because we think it might impact us in some sort of negative way or remove opportunity from us. And I think maybe that's just like a human instinct of, like I got to protect myself and my family, which is true to an extent, but you're denying opportunities that others didn't have that you did growing up or whatever the situation is.
Yeah, so, that's exactly right. And I love what you're saying too about it does translate to like the workplace. And I love that visual. I think all the time, like even in a professional way and in the workplace, I love that. I always think I want to hire someone smarter than me.
Better than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll make me better.
Every person that I have that is employed is better than me in like some very specific ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll make you better, make the company better.
And that's exactly right. And I've only grown because guess what? I get to learn from them, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Well, this is so great. I didn't necessarily, plan to go down the social ramifications and all of this, but I think this is so good and a good background to like what you do and why the policy project and all of that. So I love it. So tell me a little bit more about the nonprofit business itself, then the policy project. Maybe just give us a quick summary into other examples of things that you have done or what your team is trying to do every single day so that people can understand, okay, that's an area I would be passionate about or something I'd be very interested. Just give us a few more examples.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, like I mentioned, we're always trying to like solve for an issue. So get to the root causes. And I think that, we have extremely good job security because there's so many problems in the world, which is not good, but we'll get there eventually, right? But I think what we do is we spend a lot of time looking at like, where can we shift? And I don't think there is a listener you have that would deny that it's a very politically charged time. And one of the things that's very interesting is that policy by nature doesn't need to be political, but we have these political parties that kind of, one will dominate the conversation, then the other one might, or whatever.
It's almost like it's assigned to one side or the other when it's not necessarily the case. Yeah.
And that's what we always say. Our kind of one of the things we talk about a lot is that issues are human. Yeah. Like every single issue, either party that it's assigned to, we kind of start seeing it as like, that's red or that's blue. And in reality, what it is there was some human who probably suffered or maybe experienced something great, and now we're trying to create a policy around it. So we always try to look at like, where is there human suffering? And is there something that we could do, like a law we could tweak or one we could create or a system we can change that would then allow people to have, greater opportunity? And so some other things that we've done, we leaned in on something that we call teen centers, and those are really cool. There are these resource centers that are attached typically to a high school, occasionally to like a middle school.
Okay, cool.
And kids who are experiencing homelessness, who are low income, who have like maybe parents with addiction issues, or they've not been well cared for, they're in foster, like kids can go into these teen centers. They can take a shower there. They can do their laundry. They can, there's grab and go food. So instead of giving them like a box of mac and cheese that, we had one girl say like, thanks for the mac and cheese, I can't cook this on my dashboard and I'm living in my car. And it's like, we can give them, what can we give them that's nutritious? Like, string cheese, like stuff that they can just eat right there.
Yeah.
And then an adult in these teen centers that can help connect them to other community resources. Because you and I, Hunter, might know, like, you know what, there's a youth homeless shelter over here. This kid doesn't know that, I do this. I run a nonprofit and I don't know about half the resources that are available to us. Literally this week, I learned that there's like an assistance program for people who can't pay for their utilities. And I was like, who knew? I'm 46 and run a nonprofit, and I didn't know. So definitely a 17-year-old whose parents are struggling to keep a job doesn't know that they could get help. And so these are super cool. We put them into about 86 high schools in the state of Utah. There are around 200 high schools here.
It's amazing.
So super cool. Those are very awesome. Also have worked on child sexual abuse prevention. So we changed the law so that every single elementary school student in the state can receive prevention curriculum. Weirdly, Utah has higher rates than other places in the country. It's crazy. Yeah. We're about around 1 in 5 to 1 in 7, depending on which data set you're looking at in Utah. In national average is 1 in 10. So we're talking about like 1 in 5 kids being sexually abused. And if you look at kind of the long-term outcomes for kids that are sexually abused, there are many people, you and I know many people, maybe you and I are one, that have been sexually abused that do great in life. Yes. But many of them, that can trigger like a really tricky set of things in their lives, and it's often on the front end of incarceration, substance abuse, homelessness, inability to keep a job. So when you're looking around the world and thinking, why is this person like this? I mean, and you think of like, man, 20% of us were sexually abused as kids. That's tough. We can do better. We can do so much better. There's literally no reason other than we just haven't talked about it and started to change it. And so this law that we passed a couple years ago will start to change that. We should start to see different outcomes. And then, we've worked on several other things, but a couple are like making sure the cell phones are being used appropriately in schools. Kids can't just be on, scrolling Instagram the entire time in class. Yeah. Exactly. And then ensuring that kids who come from very low income families are able to receive a lunch at school without a cost. So just cool stuff like that. You can do almost anything with policy. And so we have intent to do many, many more things.
Cool. Well, my wife was a kindergarten teacher for almost 5 years, I believe it was. And we saw her very first school that she taught at was a Title I, and there was a homeless shelter that fed into that. And so she saw on the daily, literally, the type of stuff that you're talking about. If people don't believe, like in Utah, that's not a thing.
It's a thing.
Very much is a thing.
Yeah.
She saw, kids come to school without shoes because mom and dad sold them for drug money. And so these are real impactful things that we're seeing in our own, neighborhoods around here. And I'm sure because of policies, you had in place or that people, have worked on, she definitely saw lots of good resources and tools and benefits. Yeah. For example, the free lunch was a huge deal to a lot of those kids because they didn't have access, where they're home. So it's so relevant. It's so close to us. I think sometimes that's a mindset that we just get into. That's like, that's not happening in my neighborhood. It's somewhere else. It's not. It's here for sure.
Yeah, and that's such a perfect example because it surrounds us. It's just hard to see. Yeah. It's hard to see when we get busy and when we're in our bubbles and when
everybody's living their own life.
Yeah. And it makes sense, but we can, I think with all the things we've been given in our lives, we can do better.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you giving all those examples of what you do, and I think maybe individuals, maybe they'll see one of those things in their life that they've, has been really applicable to them or another. So for anybody listening to this show today and they're, they've listened like, okay, I feel really passionate about XYZ subject. What would you say to those people? What are ways that either through the policy project or local law, whatever it is, what would you tell those people how they could make an impact or what they can do?
I would say the first thing is just know that impact can be made and it needs to be made. And so we need you. If you're feeling that way, there's a reason. You know, you've had some life experience that exposed you to something that probably should change, that maybe the world could be better if it were different. And so I think sometimes we get a little stagnant in thinking like, oh, I can't really do anything about it. No, you can. For sure you can. And so definitely we're always like looking for volunteers, looking for people. Just at thepolicyproject.org, we have tons of volunteer opportunities. And if it's something that you're wanting to take on yourself, reach out to your local legislator, reach out to the people in your local government and tell them they work for you. We sometimes forget that every single person who's elected, they work for us. And if they're not doing the job the way that you think they should, you let them know. Give them recommendations, and they're often going to be very willing to listen.
Okay. Those are two, I think, amazing action items, because I think I've felt this personally. You know, we've gone to rallies before and we've tried to, you know, make those calls. And social media obviously is a big thing today. Everybody's, you know, wanting to express their opinion in one way or another. And, you know, I'm sure sometimes people feel overwhelmed by what should I do or what can I do, or does it even really make a difference? So you're saying one, volunteer positions at opportunities at the Policy Project.
Sure.
So tell me specifically, are people logging on to the website and they're clicking on links? Tell us a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah, literally just go to the website, thepolicyproject.org.
Amazing.
And then under, I think it says get involved. And under there's volunteers. You can also, we're always hiring people, you know, so depending on what the level is. And we have a huge variety of, this can be something where it's like, listen, I've got like 3 hours a month, or I have 3 hours a week, you know, and it's like, we can kind of work with what you have.
Cool. I'm sure it's like one of those situations. You're not going to turn anybody away for their willingness to help. Okay. And then action item number 2, we're contacting local leaders and lawmakers.
Yep. Okay. And you can just, like, if you're looking, literally a Google search for who is my legislator, or like who is my mayor, you know, like you can look for those things, just literally a Google search, and there's so many cool like search engines that will populate exactly, have you under your address, and it will tell you exactly who's in, like who is working for you, who your employees are, those elected officials.
As much as I'd like to say I'm in the know-how, you know, we try to stay up with our, you know, local voting and all that good stuff, but it gets overwhelming too, where you're like, I don't know who my local leader is for this specific thing. So, and I think we let that be like a little bit of paralysis sometimes, where we don't take action because we just feel so as easy as a Google search. That's literally amazing. And
just know, none of us, like, things will change in my district, and I'm like, wait, who is it again? I'm like, I do this every day, and I'm still like, who is this? Yes. So it's all good.
So between all of that, I've loved your answers, hearing how we can make a difference. Maybe the last thing I'll ask you is, since you're classified as a nonprofit, a 501(c)(3), tell us, how do you balance that as a you know, a business? You're balancing budgets and people. Just give us some insight into the role of a president at a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's a good question. It is a pretty active role. I am never bored. I think it's, you know, I came from the for-profit world, and so it's so similar to other business models in that, you know, you need a marketing machine, you need an accounting person, you need, you know, people doing art, like research and development, you need, you know, all of these things that you do in the for-profit world, but in a nonprofit space. And then I would say one of the biggest differences is just, instead of selling the service or a product, you are fundraising from often like people who make grants or large family foundations. And so really it's so similar. The difference is that the way that you bring in income is just, you need donations. And so that is like a big part of what we do too, is showing like, look at the kind of impact your $1 has. And I would say, I'm going to give myself this plug on this, but one of the cool things when you're working on policy is, because we match it with public funds, a donation of $1 ends up being close to $1,000 in return, which is insane. Nobody else does that.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's a crazy, it's just a highly impactful way to do good in the world. And so I would say that is why it's cool. But yeah, it's an insane job. I mean, there's always something, and the stakes are really high because you're dealing with people's lives. And one thing that we are very aware of is, one of the bills we worked on a couple years ago, we're like, we can see now that we should have done 2 or 3 things different. And so then you need to go correct them, And so I think like we all do that. That happens in business too. But it's high stakes because you're working with people's lives and you're working with the entire state of Utah. And so I think we try to be very cognizant and feel that weight very heavily. Like there's a huge stewardship. So once we do something, we follow through and make sure that it's what we wanted to have happen actually happened, and that whatever that is having the positive impact on the individual's lives. So,
and on the flip side of that, I know that's like one of the difficult parts is it's so high stakes. But I feel like on the flip side, I'm speaking for you here, but maybe that's part of the calling or the reason why you're in it is the reward for what you're doing
for sure
on the daily.
There's like nothing, when you change a policy, chances are it will stay in place forever. So it doesn't matter if, I go get hit by a bus today, it's like those things won't change. Yeah. And so that is like obviously why I feel very passionately about policy, is just that once it's done, it's set. And so it's like legacy work for us. It's legacy work for our generation.
So cool. Well, I think that's just such good insight to people listening that, even navigating our professional careers sometimes, and maybe this is just a perspective that I had, you think, there's not as much opportunity in nonprofit, or the organization and the structure is so different. But from what you're saying is it's really not. Maybe just the way you're acquiring money or funds,
totally,
or how
it's
you're marketing it. It's you're just changing. There's somebody that's doing e-commerce advertising, and they're saying, okay, this is the benefits you have from taking this supplement every day, but you're flipping that, and hey, this is the benefit that your money and the impact that it had.
Totally,
just a different form of marketing.
Yeah, it's cool to have lived in both worlds, because you're like, it's just a business, but it's business for good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. This has been so fun. It's been great just learning, talking. I feel like it's good, just therapeutic, good venting session over here too. Before we end, and before I have you give one more plug, I'd love to dive into our hot topic.
Let's do it.
Speed round.
Ready.
So again, parameters here. You can be short or long answers. Either way is fine if you're passionate about it, but quick answers.
Okay, I'm on it.
So, okay. First one on the table today. Swig or crumble?
Okay, I'm going with swig on this one because I like a drink with a cookie at the same time.
I'm with you there. I'm going swig. We live in Daybreak. And I know there's a lot of opinions around the lifestyle in Daybreak and stuff like that, but we have a walkable swig, and that can be dangerous. We have to kind of put some boundaries there sometimes.
I'm so jealous. I wish we lived by a swag. Or
like
a crumble, for that matter. Either.
Anything.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I love it. How are you personally feeling about AI? And to follow up that question, do you use it on the daily?
Okay, good question. Just got the best piece of insight, so I'm going to share it here, which was someone said like the older generation, aka me, uses AI as a search engine. Like it will be like, what is the best Italian restaurant in this neighborhood? And
hey, I've done that too.
I know. Me too.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, guilty.
Yeah.
And the younger generation is using it as an assistant. And so I feel intimidated by AI, but it's also the world's most, I can't believe how much my life has changed in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest because you can use it for everything. So I'm trying to flip my mentality to like, okay, use this as an assistant. What does that even mean? And do I use it every day? Yep. Every day.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Even on, it's cool to hear the perspective in the nonprofit world. AI is being used on the daily. I'm same answer as you. I'm intimidated, of course. Like naturally it's a new learning curve. But so much lately, I've been, I feel like I've been hearing like, gotta lean into it. Just lean into it.
100%. Just start using it.
Totally.
Yep.
On my end, just to give examples, proposals, creative ideas or direction that gets us started. I will say, admittedly, it's not like that's going to take us to the finish line for somebody like Moto, but Do we use it? Absolutely.
It's nice for the legwork on things.
Totally. Okay, cool. Would you rather do a task yourself or delegate tasks out? And I know that's
100% of the time delegate.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
no, that's
I
amazing.
also think it's because I think, okay, I hire great people. They're going to be better at this than me.
No, I love that. And having your systems in place, like I get caught in the trap of like, I can just take this on myself.
I know. I've been there for so many years. And I feel like recently I'm like, nope, cannot do.
So
I will die. There are not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure you literally can get to. Okay, I love that answer. Such a healthy perspective. I would rather delegate as well, but I think my true answer is it's hard not to. So I love that perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about this one before. Current fashion, hot topic. How are we feeling about... I mean, I saw it growing up. How are we feeling about jorts, long, the jeans, their baggy jeans are back in.
Totally.
Like, how are we feeling?
Oh my gosh, you are making me laugh so freaking hard because I'm like driving down the road and I'm like, oh, these poor kids, they look like they could use some help. No, my kids are like, Mom, they're like so cool, like, so in style. I'm like, okay. So I would say, yeah, I'm not a massive jort fan.
Okay.
That said, I have purchased a pair of jorts for myself, so guilty.
That's fair.
I do like a good trend, but it is like so funny to see, and I'll be ready to burn those suckers as soon as it ends.
Is it out? Yeah.
Yep.
Which who knows if it'll last long or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, if I'm giving my answer, I think I'm kind of more like you. Initial reaction, I'm just kind of laughing.
Oh, that's so
I can't
weird.
believe it's making me feel older for sure. Just seeing the cycle on that, and you thought something that would like never come back.
Oh, totally.
And here it is, like, this is actually in.
Oh, it's the weirdest.
Like,
yes,
okay, making me feel a little old.
It is the weirdest.
I probably won't be rocking them, but
I know.
power to the people that do.
Exactly.
Okay, here's another one we were talking about before the episode, and I know we've both got opinions here. Fully electric. And again, I'll preface this with, I'm not saying one's better, good or bad environment-wise. That's not the question, just your personal preference. A fully electric vehicle or not.
Okay, I am such a West Coaster. Grew up on the West Coast, grew up in Utah. I many times have to drive like 3 hours in a day. And I'm like, I can't even fathom. My husband is full electric and I am full gas. Yeah. And I think I could do a hybrid. But I'm telling you, I live in a world of fear getting caught somewhere without a charger, and Mama don't got 45 minutes to charge.
We've got long desert roads around here, long stretch.
Scared. Yeah.
Okay, so would you stick, if you had to choose hybrid or
I would definitely do a hybrid if I could. We did have a hybrid once, and it was amazing because it was like electric and then clicked over to gas if it ran out. I loved that.
That's where I am. I can't commit to the fully electric yet, and we've had this debate in our family because I've got a brother who does have one, and he's all in, and I have another brother who does have an electric vehicle, but he's not fully committed to it because we ran into that issue even with a video production coming back from Vegas. It was kind of a nightmare. What a normally a 6-hour drive turned into like literally 12 or 13 hours. It was brutal. We left at like 5 and got home at like 5 the next morning.
No.
We all
I would die.
Yeah, and there was a couple, not to amplify your fear, but there was a couple of close calls where we were like coasting. Our battery said like 2 miles left.
I cannot. This is why I might give me the gas until we get this better, whatever.
I'm all in once the system.
When the system can support it. I am not going to be an early adapter on this one.
If I had the money to buy new today, I'd go hybrid.
Yeah, 100%.
So we could have both. So.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, last one on the list. With your free time, are you watching a full movie? It could be a show too, like some episodes. Yeah. Or are you scrolling?
I am definitely old school. I am full movie or a show. Yeah, I can't like the scroll. I get it for when I'm like sitting guilty at a stoplight or something, like scrolling for a sec. But I am not like, it doesn't relax me all the way. I'm just like, I want to like sit down and be like, I don't want to fill, but maybe who knows? Maybe my feed is too much like policy and there's this issue and I'm like so worried about it. What am I going to do? You know?
No, I'm the same way because then there's the FOMO.
And FOMO.
Or like educational, or there's just, it's a lot to take in. And I don't think half the time we realize how much we're consuming and taking in.
It's a lot.
I'm with you. Show or movie. I love movies. My wife, not as much. So we meet in the middle, I think, on
a show. That feels fair.
Sure. Well, thank you again. I would love to, before we end the episode, love one more time, give a quick plug on policy. Maybe again, a couple just action items on where people could go if they're interested in either financially donating or donating some of their power and time. Just give a quick recap on that. Would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much. Well, I think, policy has just this insane impact on society, and it really does change systems for the future so that life gets a little bit easier for everybody. And I will say it is easy to be stuck and think that what we have to offer isn't enough. If you can donate $7, but you can't donate 70 or 700, $7 makes a difference. If you can give 2 hours, but you can't give 20 or 200, 2 hours makes a difference. And so never let yourself be stuck in a space where you think what you're offering is not enough. It's enough, right? But we all have to do our part. So if everybody's giving their $7 in 2 hours, the world's going to be good. If we decide to hold that back, we're going to struggle. And so I would just love to have people think about that and join us in our work. We need you. It's thepolicyproject.org. That's where you can make a donation, you can Venmo, you can do a credit card, whatever. And you can also sign up to volunteer. And we definitely need the help.
Amazing. That's what I was going to ask, is if they literally can just click on your website.
Yep.
A form for donations is easy as that.
Mm-hmm.
And Venmo.
That's right.
It's getting easier every day.
Yes, we're making it you can throw cash at me if I'm walking by you if you want to. I don't care. Whatever it takes.
I love it. Well, thank you again, Emily. I really, really appreciate your time and insight. I know obviously what you're doing, your time is valuable. You're working hard, a lot of things in front of you. So appreciate taking the time to join me on the episode today.
Thank you. It was so fun. Thanks for having me.
It was fun. And we'll catch people on the next one. See you guys.